Hello, my lovely family. Welcome to Spiritual Bloom, where we bloom within our consciousness, with your spiritual guide and Twinflame coach Neha. In today's episode, we will be talking about how does the divine masculine transform his personality from a low vibration distorted masculine to a high vibration masculine as soon as he enters into this divine journey. Previously, we discussed about the divine feminine personality traits. Today, we will be talking about the divine masculine personality traits. So, as we all know, that the divine masculine is not divine since the very beginning, just like the divine feminine. The masculine side is more distorted than the feminine ones and takes so much time to release the karmic cycles and come into the standard of frequency and standard of divinity that he is supposed to come into to serve his purpose. So let's understand what are the transformation and different kind of personality traits that the divine masculine discovers once he enters into this journey. Firstly, the divine masculine understands life very deeply. Previously, the divine masculine has been living a very shallow and materialistic life. They are always behind things and money, status, and structure rather than understanding that his inner life, his inner happiness is more important to him. But as he understands the importance of being happy, as he understands the importance of being in a peaceful state of mind, he gets rid of all those addictions and work ethics or monetary things which is bringing him down in this journey. Another thing is that the masculine, he starts breaking barriers. Now the barriers can be of any kind. If the masculine is already married, he breaks barriers with the third party if the third party is no longer serving his life and was extremely toxic to him. He also breaks barriers from his family members who had tortured him for years mentally and emotionally and always made him walk on eggshells. Thirdly, he starts understanding life so deeply that he moves from a fast to a slow life. For example, where he was chasing money, status, properties, slowly and gradually he starts achieving all of that, but also realizes that there is a void within him which cannot be fulfilled by those material benefits. So gradually he starts giving away that obsession and addiction of running behind things, behind money, behind status, and starts leading a slower life. Now, slower life, I don't mean that he absolutely abandons his work and goes and lives somewhere in the Himalayas or in mountain. I don't mean that. I mean to say that if he was working for say suppose 20 hours a day, he'll make it slow and he'll start focusing on his health, and instead of working 20 hours he'll make it 15 hours, and also at the same time balance his mental health and physical health, because he understands the value that just working and earning money is not sufficient to survive in this 3D. You have to be fit mentally, physically, and emotionally also. And because of this, he starts bringing changes in his body fitness. If the masculine was very reckless previously, was very careless, and used to mishandle his body, his health, ignored his body and health for a very long time, they come to an understanding that his body requires him. And also because in the journey, the divine masculine has a very hard time because they go through many chronic diseases also, in some cases because of their addictions. They understand that they have to bring changes in the diet so that the body improves and they don't have to go through any suffering. They start eating clean, they start working out, and that is how the changes in the body takes place. Another point is that when they enter this divine journey, they at one point when they start running away from the divine feminine, that is when they don't understand or have knowledge about this journey. But slowly yet gradually when they understand this journey, they become extremely different person. They start surrendering to their divine feminine. And now suddenly the divine feminine becomes the center of focus in his life. And previously, where he used to ignore his divine feminine for other people, things, or situation, now he becomes so dedicated to his divine feminine that he is ready to sacrifice and cut off ties with any situation or people that is hampering his relation or bond with his divine feminine. Another point is that the divine masculine is very naive. They are very innocent. They trust people very easily, and because in their work surroundings also they start trusting people at a very young age, because of which many people they play around with them. Slowly and gradually the mask of these people falls apart, and the divine masculine comes to know about the truth that people have been deceiving him behind his back. So when such true faces of people comes near the divine masculine, he understands the true nature of people around him and becomes strict in his boundaries and maintains his boundaries with people, let it be in work or family dynamic, to that level that no one can take him for granted or deceive him anymore. And gradually he even cut cords with such people or environment to maintain peace and harmony in his life. Another point is that they slowly understand the nature of the third party or the karmic family members, because the divine masculine in most of the cases they have always been a people pleaser, especially for their karmic family. They always keep on doing things, taking so much of responsibilities on their shoulder, not knowing that their karmic family never valued them, never loved them the way they should have been loved. They were just a box or a money dispensing machine for the karmic family. And this is what the truth hits the divine masculine when they reach that level of frequency where they start healing and understanding that they are a divine masculine and not an ordinary masculine. And they get rid of the third party who had troubled them for years if they are in a marriage or relationship, and they get rid of the karmic family members who have been putting on masks for years, pretending to love them, pretending to be a part of the family members, whereas on the other hand they were very selfish and always used the divine masculine for their benefit, not considering that the divine masculine is their child or a member of the family, but considering the divine masculine as an object and source which can be used. The divine masculine, he slowly shifts from being scientific to spiritual. The divine masculines are extremely practical and they don't believe when you talk about all these things. So the universe keeps on pushing them and showing them signs and synchronicities until the time they can understand that everything is not science. Sometimes some things are bounded by faith, understanding, and the divine forces. Because the divine masculine is extremely stubborn in nature, the universe, bit by bit, yet slowly, takes one step at a time and makes the divine masculine understand that this world is not created just by science. It is created by the universal forces and divine forces which have been working in since ages. And because of this understanding, the divine masculine also gives in, and though he becomes hesitant during the starting, but slowly he understands that there are some forces and there are some energy which is extreme. Even if they don't come into total acceptance, they accept the fact that there are some hidden energies which has a higher power, higher calling, which is leading him into transforming into such a person. And also he starts having doubt because he feels an intense pull and connection towards his divine feminine, which is not an ordinary pull. So he starts questioning this entire journey overall. And when he starts questioning entirely this journey, he starts finding solution and answers. And because he goes into the path of finding answers and solutions, the universe, the spirit guides, and the angels also, they start helping them by giving them signs and symbols which are required for him to lead this journey and to move forward. And because he starts following such signs and synchronicities, he gets an understanding that this journey is not an ordinary journey, and he is not an ordinary masculine, and the feminine is not an ordinary feminine. That is how slowly his energy shifts from being a scientific and practical person to spiritual. Another point is that the divine masculine is always a very helpful person and very understanding person, but this twin journey makes him more helpful and more understanding, because just like the divine feminine, the purpose of the divine masculine is also divine. That means he is also sent here for a higher purpose and a higher mission to serve the mankind, earth and animals. Previously, if he was a very stubborn masculine, the universe makes him go through extreme trials and tribulations just like the divine feminine, gives him pain and suffering to humble him down. Since the divine masculines are filled with extreme ego and pride, it is extremely important to bring them down on their knees and to humble them down, which is done by the universe and divine forces. Because once he becomes humble and leaves his ego aside, he can move forward in handling the divine responsibility which has been orchestrated. But if he remains in his ego and pride, whatever material wealth, abundance, which will be given to him as a source for being a help to the mankind, the divine masculine will not be able to handle such wealth or status. Because to handle such wealth and status, you need to be extremely humble and not stubborn. You need to leave your ego and pride. And that is what exactly the universe does, so that the divine masculine leaves his ego and stubbornness and comes into his original authentic form, where he is extremely helpful, understanding and helps the mankind and serves his sole purpose. So these are some of the characteristic traits or personality traits which a divine masculine transforms when he enters into this divine journey. It is not an easy journey, but many divine masculine have to go through such transformation because they are not an ordinary masculine, and they have a very big purpose in this life, in this mission, and they have been sent here with a particular mission which has to be fulfilled. So I hope you like this episode on transformation of divine masculine and his personality in this divine journey. If you really like this episode, please like, share and subscribe. You can contact me on WhatsApp and email. It has been given in the description box and mentioned in the video as well. For any kind of personal guidance, you can contact me. My personal guidance session consists of demo before booking. So if you really want to book any sessions, you can contact me or email me or WhatsApp me. I will be available in email as well as on WhatsApp. So I will not just be booking sessions, but I will be giving a demo so that we can proceed further if you like my sessions. Thank you for listening and tuning in. I'll see you again in another episode.